acknowledge the various people who are here with us today. Jamii Telecom, Safaricom, the new KCC, DSTV MultiChoice, AR, Healthcare, Posta Kenya, Standard Group, Baraka FM, Kenya Ports Authority, Mombasa Island Cargo Terminal, Proland Realtors Limited, Mapo Freight Africa Limited, Protec, CPF, the Cooperative Bank, Midea Digital PR Limited, and Mitchell Courts. These are some of the teams who will be here this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, dinner is served. All right. So I want to call up our partners, whom I would like to just make some remarks. If you don't mind, let me get Marketing Africa, William Colombo, please. New KCC, Baraka FM, somebody from Baraka FM. Yeah. Please come up. MultiChoice Kenya Limited. Sarova Whitesands Beach Resort and Spa, and somebody from Safaricom to please come up on the stage. Please, partners, if you can join me here. Okay, so maybe let's start with the guests just to move a vote. Mitchell Courts. Mitchell Courts, let's just pay attention. Just 2 minutes, say hi, and then we can just wind it up and go to the next thing.
Out of good behavior, we normally say ladies first.
Good evening. My name is Paris, speaking on behalf of Safaricom, the table on my right, and we are happy to be associated with Marketing Africa. We are proud to be here.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lilian Were. I'm representing New KCC. KCC is on your table. I can see each and every table today has one of KCC's products. Yeah. And that is one of the latest kid on the block, KCC UHT, which is just one of the many products that KCC offers. As most of you might be aware, KCC has been there and is still there. And we've been coming up with so many novelties. And today, we want you to experience the latest novelty that we have, which is the KCC UHT, among other novelties like La Yogurt, KCC Cheese, Finest Butter, Mala. All these are KCC products that we intend for you to interact with them now and in the future when we have such events. For today, as you go home, please take away at least one pack. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Peter Mtuku. I'm here representing MultiChoice Kenya. We are seated on the table that didn't give you any slogan because we wanted to be different. More than that, MultiChoice Kenya has the packages, has products which are GoTV and DSTV. So as you came in, you saw a table where we had set up. We have our decoders for both GoTV and DSTV. We're selling at a good price today for a full kit of fully installed DSTV kit with 1 month of compact. We're giving you that for 5,000 bob only. And for a GoTV decoder, we're giving you a 2,000 bob. So please don't go home without carrying something for the weekend for you and your family. Thanks for your time.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. My name is Nabith Mabea. I'm standing here for Sarova. Karibuni, feel at home as we enjoy our refreshing African hospitality.
Peace and goodwill of the Most High be with one and all. Blessed. Nikisema Baraka FM sema shikamoo. Baraka FM. Unashika more entertainment, unashika more news, unashika more pia hela. Ndio maana yake ndani ya Baraka FM. Tunashukuru, we give thanks for being around, to be associated with the quiz night. We've been around, we've been there. Baraka FM is 17 years old. We're the first FM station in the Coast region. We are the #1 FM station, scientifically proven. So table yetu iko pale. Baraka wako wapi? Tuko pale, kwa hivyo mtu yote anaweza kuja pale tukazungumza, tukajiwana vizuri. We can connect you to clients, we can business opportunities. Just feel free. Hii ya leo ni quiz night ndio, lakini zaidi pia vile vile ni nafasi nzuri ya kukutana na kuweza kuona vipi tunaweza kusaidiana kwa njia moja ama nyingine. Kabla sijaondoka nataka nitaje jina langu. Naitwa Nelson Ojijo na naamini kila mmoja wetu leo atafurahia hapa. Asanteni nyote kwa kuwa pamoja nasi. Quiz yangu ni yule unayemwona sio yule anayezungumza. Usinijibu, tafakari.
Good evening. Mitchell Kos, Justus, good evening. Hello? Kindly lend us your ears. We are grateful tonight once again to host you. Always a pleasure. I'm happy tonight. I've seen one of the best bank managers we ever had in Ukulima Cooperative Bank. He told me not to call him up, but he's seated there. Douglas Gatimo, thank you so much for helping grow Brand Marketing Africa. We cherish you and Ukulima misses you. A clap for him. In the house tonight, I have my classmate, Charles Kisewa. Charles, please wave to the guys. He also acquired the fate of being a DMAS, which in Marketing Africa means Distinguished Marketing Africa Savant. That feat you achieve when you load yourself successfully to be able to share in a Marketing Africa forum by delivering a keynote speech. A clap for Charles, please. I'm happy as well that Dr. Wale finally made it to Mombasa and has prepared to enlighten us. Remember that the reason why we hold this series, excuse me, if you can put your mouth on leave for a few minutes, then we shall be happy and we shall feed your ears. Dr. Wale, you have been one of the very few who sacrifice to enlighten people. One of the most difficult things in life is to enlighten people who have chosen by design to block their ears and capacity to receive knowledge. It is one of the biggest crises that is facing Africans. And if I can tell you, listen to me, if you can open up your mind and teach yourself to learn, teach yourself to enhance your capacity, you shall change not only your life, but the life of brand you and the life of the brand that you work for. A clap for me.
Thank you.
Ted gave me 1 minute. I gave him the whole night. You can see how mean some guys are. But thank you so much for the night. Please enjoy.
Thank you very much. You may please take your seats. All right, a round of applause for our partners, ladies and gentlemen. Makofi tafadhali. Our service teams, we thank you so much for the work you do. Najua mko kazini, lakini kwa sababu ya utu na kwa kutupatia service nzuri, tungependa kuwapa zawadi kila mtu moja moja, muweze kupeleka nyumbani na kufurahi pamoja na sisi. All right? Many times what you're looking for somewhere else is probably right within yourself. Now, the biggest question everybody has, everybody who's a professional, is what can I do to make my life better? I always ask my friends this question. How come the people who seem to be rich are getting richer? And I'm talking about those who work hard. I'm not talking about the thieves. How come that kule kunaishi wakubwa ama wadosi huwa wanatoka mapema sana saa 12, saa 11 asubuhi, lakini kule kunatoka watu wa kawaida traffic yao ni ya saa 2, saa 3 asubuhi? Somebody told me long time ago that in this life, you're either at the table or you're on the menu. And this is the problem that we keep on going round and round and round. And someone said that even if you win the rat race, with the rat mentality, you still remain a rat. So today, I would love us to take a few minutes and break this down for the benefit of what we are able to do with our careers, with our lives, and with our dreams. So give me a few minutes. Be patient. Listen up. This might just be that thing that you've been looking for. And my last point is this. Many years ago, a young congressman came to Kenya. And very many people met him. There was the customs officer at the airport. There was the taxi driver. There was the policeman. There was the man who sold to him cigarettes at a shop. But what I always wonder, how come this many people are never mentioned in his story? Can it be that they never thought this guy would amount to anything? So they didn't really concentrate on creating a connection? If, for example, you knew that I can take you to meet the person who will help you achieve your dream. If you're a salesperson and you wanted to meet a certain person and you knew that I am the guy who will help you get to where you want to go, I know this evening you will not let me breathe. You'll be everywhere in my space so that I cannot forget you. Ladies and gentlemen, I would want you to take this meeting we're having today serious. When I said in the morning, as we began, earlier on, that let's get as many business cards as we can, I meant it. You don't know that card, what it will mean to you. This is not what I do for a living, and I don't tell people what I do for a living, because when I tell people what I do for a living, then everybody wants to be my friend. But wouldn't you just want for me to be your friend just because I met you today and we made a connection? So take this night very seriously. I have made some of the biggest business meetings from this event. Last event, while many of you were talking with your friends, I connected with a guy and I did a 15 million shillings job for him, and I'm doing another 15 million job for him, while the rest of the people who were in the meeting left with nothing. Ladies and gentlemen, let's listen. You never know. If the policeman, the custom agent, the taxi driver had known that Barack Obama would be the president of the United States of America, I am sure they would have dealt with him differently. But because they had the same attitude many will have tonight of Sijali, then we shall read about Barack Obama in the newspaper. And then you'll tell your friends, uyu, Hata tulimwona kwa function nyingine Whitesands. But did you connect with him? No. Ladies and gentlemen, connections. And as we said at the beginning, your network is your net worth. Ladies and gentlemen, let me invite a very serious man. This man, 20 years ago, opened up my mind to possibilities beyond my capacity then. Right now, I'm riding on many things that he taught me. Please put your hands together for Dr. Wale Akinyemi.
Wow, good evening. Thank you so much, Ted, for that amazing introduction. It's such a privilege for me to be here today. I was thinking, William and I have been on this journey for many years. And it's been, like Ted said, it's been amazing. It's been a very fruitful journey for so many years. And so I'm privileged. Thank you for having me again. I hope one day we'll be celebrating 20 years of doing this together. Well, I'm going to get straight into it. I'm somebody who, whenever people ask how I want to be introduced, I always tell them to just introduce me as a passionate African. I'm somebody who I've had the privilege of living in different places. I have worked in over 20 African countries. And I see that the problem is basically the same everywhere. If we can fix our thinking, we will fix our living. And so that's why I focus a lot on changing the way the African person thinks. And what we're going to talk about today, I call it something that I believe has helped me greatly. Greatly in every way, financially, socially, in every way. And it is my brand of capitalism, which I call compassionate capitalism. And in the process, we're going to see what I call the fallacy of a lot of CSR that we do. I think the biggest example I'd like to give before I start of what compassionate capitalism has done for me and how you can absolutely turn your businesses around and turn your whole life around. I'll tell you my little story. One day I've been looking for, like a lot of people, for certain breakthroughs in my life. One of them, I always wanted to be a consultant for the United Nations. I just thought it was something really cool to be able to actually be part of the process of solving problems globally. And so I wanted to be a part of that. And it wasn't happening. I did all I could. It was not happening. Then one day, I went to church, and there was this story about this very rich man and a poor man called Lazarus. This man was so poor, he was staying at the gate of the rich man, hoping that the rich man would help him out. How many of you know that story? And the rich man didn't help him. So eventually, Lazarus died. And the most ridiculous thing happened after Lazarus died. The rich man died also. And I had an aha moment that, oh my goodness, the purpose of the rich man was to look after Lazarus. And now that Lazarus was no more there was no need for the rich man to continue living. So I said a quick prayer. I said, God, two things. Number one, show me my Lazarus. And whatever you do, don't let my Lazarus die. Because if my Lazarus dies, then I'm finished. So I bumped into a bunch of young people from a place in Nairobi called Mathare. And these young people were so talented young people from the slums. And when I saw them, I knew I had seen my Lazarus. I knew that I could make a difference in the lives of these people, and it was not for show. It was not PR. I knew I could truly make a difference in the lives of these people. So I arranged a meeting to go to Mathare. And I remember when I got there to the Mathare Social Hall, it's full of young people who had come. And they had been spoiled by the politicians, so some of them were asking me for sitting allowance. And I said, the only thing you will get from me, you will get a book, you will get a notebook, and you will get a pen, and you will sit down, you will shut up, listen to what I have to say, or you get out. And some of them stayed. Most of them stayed, actually. Now, that was on a Saturday. There was a cousin of mine who worked with the United Nations who called me and said, Wale, where are you? I said, I'm in Mathare. He said, are you crazy? You never went to a Nigerian slum. Now you want to commit suicide in a Kenyan slum. What's your problem? So I switched off the phone because I did not want to be distracted. Later that night when I got home, then she called again and said, since you don't want to listen to me and you feel you're too big to be corrected, you got to come to my house tomorrow morning. Tomorrow afternoon. There's somebody who's going to talk sense into your head. So the following afternoon, I went to her house. And when I got there was a gentleman that came to meet me. He's the one that's supposed to talk sense into my head. He said, what were you doing there? So I shared the vision I had for young people in this country. I shared it with him. I said, I'm going to empower them. I'm going to teach them how to use their gift as their capital. I'm going to teach them how to change their thinking. And I'm going to tell them that if their mind does not stay in the slum, their body will not stay. And when I finished telling him what I was going to do, he said, wow, would you like to do this with the United Nations? I did not know he was an assistant secretary general. So I tell everybody, 2 weeks later, I was on my first international project, going to speak at the Africa Urban Youth Assembly. And the rest is history. I've been a consultant for the United Nations for the last 4 or 5 years. And so I tell everybody who cares to listen, Mathare was my gateway to the UN. No show, nothing. One day I was talking to my kids in Mathare, and I realized I talked about KFC, and they had no clue what I was talking about. So we emptied the KFC in downtown Nairobi, and I took all my kids from Mathare there and filled the whole place up. What I have spent in a year, sometimes, is over 15 million. Just on those kids. Some of them, we changed their wardrobes, changed everything. One of the closest people to me today was from there. He was a gangster. And it gives me such joy. But I can tell you something. That my personal economy turned around when I started going to Mathare. So if there is one thing I can never stop. I have had programs. We used to have coffee with Dr. Wale. I stopped it. We used to have all sorts of things that we've started, we've stopped. But one thing I can never stop is my work in Mathare. Because success is what you achieve for yourself. Purpose is why you achieve it. And significance is how you use it to affect others. Many rich people have lived and died and you never remember them. You will not be remembered for your success, you'll be remembered for your significance. And as long as CSR is a photo op, then we are not going to get the fullness of what we can get from CSR. So I want to take you on a journey. I started by giving you my personal example. So I'm going to take you on a journey because it is one of the big buzzwords everywhere today. One of the things that I've been helping some organizations do is actually help them identify and establish an effective CSR program. So this is something really close to my heart. Being a responsible company is not just the ability to post good profits and balance books and all that. There's a verse in the Bible that says the letter kills, but the spirit gives life. What makes CSR powerful is not the act, but the spirit behind the act. And CSR has the potential to be the greatest driver of profit in your organization. Greater than any marketing or advertising campaign you can put together if you do it properly. Because CSR touches, when done well, it touches hearts. One of the things I've been doing with a lot of organizations is trying to get them to move from customer service to customer experience. And I'll talk a little bit about that. Because, you see, good customer service will produce good customers. But great experiences will produce ambassadors. What's the difference between a customer and an ambassador? The customer is with you when things are good. But the ambassador becomes your mouthpiece even when things are not good. And one of the things about the ambassador service instead of customer service is that there are three dimensions. There's the level of service that is expected. And that's what a lot of people do. Where? Massage. Where? You know, there are some things you think about. There are others, you just do it. Said massage, I said, let us go. Immediately. Who gives you a massage at 38,000 feet? Or whatever. Then after the massage, I have my dinner. I watch a movie. Then she comes back and says to me, first she gives me pajamas. You understand? Then she says, when you're ready to sleep, please let me know so I can come and tuck you in. Hey! You want to do what? Tuck me in. Say, when you are ready, I'm ready. I am ready. Oh. Say what? Then guess what? So I stepped aside. The bed, you know, Virgin Atlantic was the first to introduce flat beds. The bed came out. And then I got my pajamas. I lay down. She covered me. I was expecting a bedtime story, you know. Anyway, now, the point I'm making is this. If I did not get the massage, no. If I did not get the tucking in and all that, I would have missed it. So that is how to create experiences. You go beyond what is expected. One of the things I've always talked about, and there's a lot about this online, is what I call Wale's triangle. Most people make decisions between what is obvious, what is known, and what is comfortable. Unfortunately, innovation never happens inside that triangle. It happens outside. So when you take service and you are creating experiences that could not be expected, then you create ambassadors. But let me now take it to a whole new level. That is creating experiences for people who are customers, isn't it? But you know what CSR is? Creating experiences for people who may never be your customers. Now that is a whole new dimension. They may never be your customers. I mean, and when we get this, it changes the whole dynamic. So let's look at what makes CSR powerful. And talking of experiences, I mean, I talk of different experiences that I've had, one of which is with Whitesands here. Everybody who knows me or who has listened to me more than once or twice has heard me talk about Whitesands. I was living in America. I came to Kenya, and I went to one funny hotel where they treated me. They did not treat me like I should be treated. And, you know, I remember getting there, and they said there was no room. I begged. I said, can I just wait a little? Maybe somebody will check out. And they were so mean to me. So mean. So they now said, somebody there now said, why don't you check Whitesands? I had no clue that there was a place called Whitesands. Absolutely no clue. But you see, bad service is great advertising for your competition, and it is free. It is absolutely free. You know? So, I got here. And I was received there like they were expecting me. Ah, karibu, karibu, karibu. Eh? So, I got in. And I'm giving the face cloth. I'm giving the juice. And the person giving me, Mama Mia, fine. Fine daughter of God. Or what you will call in my country, peperempe. Hey! And then, one thing I hate doing, I hate filling forms. I absolutely hate it. So she came, where did you come from today? And she's filling my form. And then all I had to do was sign. Then I am taken to my room. And that day, when I left the room for dinner, I went to the restaurant. The waiters were calling me by my name. Who does that? And then when I was done and I was going back to America, I don't know if they were pretending, but they behaved like they were sorry that I was going. So when I got back to America, the next time I came to Kenya, do you think I went to the other Mumu hotel I used to go? I came straight here. And they remembered me. That means I was not a statistic. I was not that. I was a human being. They remembered me. When I got back to America with my big mouth. Now you see, this is what I have done every day of my life for so many years. I got back to America, I began to brag about my hotel in East Africa. That year, I came with 30 business leaders from the U.S. I have talked about this. I was in Sri Lanka. I came with the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, their board retreat. And you know how far I'm talking about? This was my first encounter here was 1995. People never forget. People never forget the experience. And I have written about Whitesands everywhere. I've talked about Whitesands everywhere. But you see, that is creating an experience for somebody that can talk about you, that can do something. I am saying there is another level where you create the experience for somebody who cannot be your customer. Now, why are you doing that? For you to do that, your thinking must be on a totally different frequency, isn't it? Totally different. And let me tell you what will make it work. The things that I've seen that will make it work. Number one is leadership. Leadership. You know, a lot of what we do, you spend 1 million on something, and then you spend 5 million to tell the world that you spent 1 million. Isn't that what a lot of CSR is? You know, but when leadership, serving the community, it must be at the soul of leadership. Authenticity is the driver of reality. When a leader is authentic about wanting to make a difference and serve, it's easier to drive it. So it's got to start at the top. Like I said earlier on, the world has seen a generous share of successful people. People who have made more money than nations, you know. But we do not read about people because of the house they lived in. We don't remember people for the cars they drove. Yesterday's headlines will be in the trash tomorrow. We think of Grammy Awards and things like that. You remember for a short while. After, you forget. If I ask you to name the Grammy Award winners for last year, you've probably forgotten. But if I tell you to name your teacher when you were in primary school, you will remember. Because human beings are wired to remember people that make a difference in their lives. Nobody's going to remember you for the profit you made. I wish they could, but no. Nobody's going to remember you that you made amazing profits. You are not the first to make profits, and you will not be the last. And you see, this is where I got to. When I lost money, and I'm not talking of toy money. I lost the real money, $6.3 million. When you fail on that level, you are a successful failure. And then I put my phone down, and there is no difference between when my phone is on and when it is off. It is not ringing. Now, if I had died in that mode, everybody would have forgotten me. Because you see, all these toys we accumulate can never testify about us. The only thing that can testify about us in time to come is the lives of people we have touched. That's the only thing. Because, you see, I prided myself in the accumulation of toys. And I was the master. I was the master. The S500, the E230, the 525i, BMW. I was the master. A $1.6 million home. I was the master of accumulation of toys. And in spite of it, I had given away... Man, don't even let me talk about that. In spite of it, nobody called me when I was down. Nobody. One reporter was asking me some time ago, when I heard about this, my story, and it's a very popular story, and said, but how are you sure that you will not lose it all again? How are you sure? I said, I have an insurance cover. He said, what insurance? I said, it's called Lazarus Insurance. I said, look, let me tell you, there's a story of two men that were praying for money. One was praying for $100, the other was praying for 10 million. The one that was praying for $100 was praying so loud. And they're in the same room. So the one that's praying for 10 million was getting irritated. So he now went to him and said, shut up, shut up. You don't need to disturb God for that one. I can answer that prayer for you. And said, here, $100, take, now get out. So once that one got out, he closed his eyes and said, God, now that I have your undivided attention, let us talk business. So why will I not fail again? Because I have answered the prayers of so many people. It is not economically viable for God to allow me to fail. Oh, is somebody hearing me? It's not economically viable. Because can you imagine the number of people that would have been saying, oh God, oh God, oh God. Have you watched the movie? What's that movie? Oh God. No, what's that movie? That one. Adam Sandler. Nobody watches movies here? Okay. Where Morgan Freeman was acting God. Bruce Almighty. Thank you. I mean, you saw that movie. There was so much chatter. God was hearing so many. Now, can you imagine when you are positioned to take that chatter away? And that is what CSR does. That is why when you get it right, nothing can stop you as an organization. So leadership, it must be at the soul of leadership. The CEO must be the greatest driver. And I want to say something here, because many times when people like us, we talk, we use examples from outside. We talk about companies we have never seen and people we have never met. But right here, we have some companies that I think have gotten it very, very right. One of them that I've worked with for 7 years, 8 years is Safaricom. And when you sit down with Bob Collymore, his heart is in transforming lives. You cannot talk for a few minutes. He called my daughter one day. He and my daughter are better friends than he and I. Called my daughter and said, what are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? He's driven by, let's transform lives. Let's make a difference. I think it's something that is laudable. It's something that we need to celebrate. All right? Now, so first thing that will make it work is leadership. The second thing that will make it work is culture. Now, because what happens in a case where leadership has the vision of transformation and wants to impact society, but the team does not see it? I was having lunch with the CEO of a multinational, and his dream for the organization was amazing. But there was a problem. His team did not see it. And he was frustrated. So they instead of seeing it, they're actively working against him. So how do we make it cultural? We need to make it so cultural that we move it from corporate social responsibility to personal social responsibility, where everybody has imbibed it. Now, when I talk about culture, let me give you my favorite illustration on culture, is, which I think I have given at one of these our events. If you have a dream of bringing a polar bear to Mombasa, you see how funny it is? You want to bring a polar bear. Now, you have the right team to bring it. You have the money. You have the infrastructure. You have everything. And then you bring your polar bear to Mombasa. When it gets to Mombasa, then you rejoice. Yay, my polar bear is here. And then 2 days later, the polar bear dies. Why did it die? Because we can have everything right. If we don't have the environment right, everything becomes useless, isn't it? So, Let me give you another illustration about culture. A matatu driver who has never stopped at red, take him to a country where red means stop. Drive him around for a week or two. You know what will happen when you eventually give him a car to drive? He will stop, isn't it? Because there is enough power in the environment to make him stop. So, the power of environment, this is what makes this cultural. And how do we do this? Listen. That same matatu driver, I've always asked, why does a matatu drive the way they drive? Why do the drivers, can anybody answer me? Anybody want to take a guess? Why will a matatu driver drive the way they drive here? Who is responsible? They want to move fast. They want to get there fast. Who else can help me? Anybody here? Why do matatus drive the way they do? All right. Now, can I submit to you? If you are in your own car and a matatu drives badly, you will be very upset. Yes or no? But do you know that the same thing that gets you upset when you are inside your car is the thing that makes you happy when you are in the matatu? In fact, when you hear that there's a particular matatu that knows how to break the law very well, he becomes your friend. Yes or no? So that means we are the ones that create the environment for matatus to behave the way they do. So how do you make something cultural? Because it's a belief system. A lot of times, organizations, you want to, maybe things are not going right, you now decide we're going to go for team building. So you go for team building on Thursday and Friday. Let me tell you, I am sad. I am very sorry to tell you what I'm about to tell you. Are you ready? Yes. The fact that you did tug of war on Thursday and Friday does not mean you have become a team. Because on Monday, you will go back and meet the same demons that you had there before. If I did not like you before we went for team building, I will not like you because we have gone for team building. In fact, if your team beat my team, I will hate you more. Am I telling the truth? So the way to change things, to make things cultural, how do we make it cultural? How do we make people who have believed in a certain way believe in a different way? And when I was searching, do you know where I found my answer? In religion. Do you know every religion wants to take somebody who has already believed something and want to make them believe something else to the point where they can die for it? Yes or no? Isn't that what every religion does? So that means if we understand how religion works, we will know how to change culture. Now, every religion has a message. So we must ask, what is the message of our transformation? What is the message of our cultural revolution where CSR is concerned? What is the message? Safaricom says transforming lives is the focus. All right? So what is the message? Number one. Then every religion has preachers. Isn't it? Who are the preachers of this transformation? Because it must be such that people are hearing CSR, they are hearing it every day, everywhere. Not just one day when you just woke up and think, let's just do something. No, it must be something that is being heard every day. Everywhere you look at, you must hear it. You must see things that point you to it. Because every religion has a message. Every religion has preachers. Every religion has a reward system. So there must be rewards for people who imbibe this thing. And every religion has consequences. So it is so important that if we're going to make CSR work, number one, leadership must drive it. Number two, everybody now makes it part of the culture of the organization. Am I communicating? That means, let me tell you how you will know it has become cultural. Remember the example I gave about the matatu driver who doesn't stop at red? Well, I give you an example. I'm standing in Lagos at the airport wanting to board a flight, and I'm standing waiting for my turn, and I see they take the first person to the front, and I'm watching. They take the second person to the front, and I'm getting angry. Then they take the third person to the front. So to maintain my cool, I convince myself that they are not feeling well. So that's why they had to go to the front. Or they had some form of disability. Now, can you imagine when I get to London Heathrow, that same idiot that could not stand in Lagos is standing behind me? So why is it they behave in a particular way in Lagos and behave in a different way in London? It's the power of the environment, isn't it? And that is how to change culture. How will you know if it has happened? It's that when somebody joins you, they automatically become CSR. No, not CSR. Personal social responsibility becomes something major in their life. I have worked with some of the, and I've done a lot of personal coaching and executive mentoring and coaching for some directors and leaders, even in Safaricom. And one of the things I noticed about a lot of them is that they all have their pet social programs that they are running as individuals. That's powerful. Because that means it has created multiple levels. All right? So leadership must drive it. Number two, it must be cultural. All right? And the way to make it cultural is that you must treat it like a religion. All right? And then finally, when we talk of the vision, I was, the interpretation of the vision. I was in the boardroom of an organization, and I gave them, I put their vision on the screen. And I asked them, I said, how many people know which company this is? It was their own company. You understand what I'm saying? Only a handful of people got it right. You know why? I'll tell you. How many of you have noticed that nearly every company in Kenya has the same values? You see it in their reception, eh? Integrity, professionalism, teamwork. Am I telling the truth? So how come we all have the same values, yet we all behave differently? If we are going to make this work, we must all have the same definition of the words. So, for instance, what does integrity mean? We cannot afford to settle with the dictionary definition. You must have your own company definition. Because if you don't define it, let me give you an example. Where I come from, in Nigeria. Because we have not defined corruption. We once had a president who said stealing is not corruption. And let me explain it to you. Because we have not defined it. Now, culturally, when you are going to visit an important man or woman, you cannot go empty-handed. You take a gift. Isn't it? So, at what point does culture end and corruption begin? We have not defined it. One day, there was a bank that invited me in Lagos to be, they wanted to hire some new senior management. And so I was asked to come and help do the selection process. So I am there. Then a cousin of mine comes in. If she had kept her mouth shut, maybe things would have been better. But the minute she came in, because I had been in the US, Wale, when did you come here? Hey, how is Taiwo? That's my wife. How is it? Yeah. We call that verbal diarrhea. So, at that point, if you were me, what would you have done? You'd have excused yourself, isn't it? You recuse yourself. So I did that. Now I want you to understand. Now you are going to see if you don't have the same interpretation. Hey. So I got home. Remember, she's my cousin. So her father, my uncle, now calls. Wale, what is all that rubbish I hear you did today? What rubbish, sir? Now listen. Before your cousin left home, she prayed that God will give her favor. So God planted you there as favor. And then you now got up and left. You need to apologize to your cousin and you need to repent before God. How do you begin to start with that kind of mentality? So that is why you must all have the same definition. When we say we are giving back, what does it mean? To somebody, it means giving things that are wretched that you don't use. To somebody else, it means building a new future for people. So we must have the common definition. When we do that, that means we are interpreting things the same way. We are not leaving it to the organization, to what the dictionary says. When we have that, I promise you, we're on the road to great CSR. Did you get it? And then finally, I think this is the final part. I call it the humanizing. What CSR does is that it humanizes capitalism. Now, one thing that I'm sure most of us know is that a majority of people do not like capitalism. Do you know that? A lot of people don't like capitalism. Once you begin to make money, you will have enemies. Once you begin to make money, people will talk bad about you. Yes or no? People will spread rumors about you. Once you begin to do that. All right? But what I have discovered is that if you get involved in the lives of people, even before you begin to make money, when you get involved in their lives, it puts a human face to capitalism. And that way, you represent the answers to their prayers. There's a particular company, I did a case study, I read about them. And when they interview people, now this is when you call it cultural. The CEO, when they're interviewing people, they allow employees 4 hours a month of paid time off to do community service. And when it hires senior managers, we look at what they have done in areas outside business. Has their concern been only for profit, or has there been a sense of caring? I wrote a book called Why Do Some Dream of Success While Others Wake Up to Achieve It? And I talked about compassion, and that's where I began to talk about compassionate capitalism. It has to be cultural, like I've said. It has to be intentional. It's not going to happen accidentally. It has to be intentional for it to be exceptional. It must flow from a heart of compassion. And when this happens, profits will come. That's the interesting thing. And I'm talking from my personal life, my experience, profits will come.
Makofi ya AR, makofi ya AR.
Dude.
Ladies and gentlemen, Baraka FM. Hey! Omeranyanga nani? Aneni? Mano mielmane? Omere mano mielmane? Erokamano sana. Thank you so much. Next is Mitchell Coates.
Mother, Wandi Kolwanue. Mother, wajaye we wakwa. Wanda ni munini mother Susanna. Wande anginane ana. Mother, wajaye we wakwa. Mother, wajaye we wakwa.
Safaricom. Thank you, Safaricom.
Harambe, tuimbe pamoja. Harambe, tuimbe pamoja. Harambe, tuimbe pamoja. Harambe, tuimbe pamoja. Harambe, harambe, tuimbe pamoja. Harambe, harambe, tuimbe pamoja.
Asante sana, ushuru yenu imetosha. Haya, watu wa maziwa, KCC.
Mama kolola, kolola. Imbedodo, imbedodo. Imelala mchangani. Imbedodo, imbedodo. Imelala mchangani. Wa na mazoea kama hizi. Wa na mazoea wangu wa maisha.
To this, what shall we do? Since what shall we do? To this, what shall we do? Since what shall we do?
Ngoja. Hakuna cha kutumia CD hapa. DSTV. Sarova. And then I want to add your next. Sarova ingeni hapa. Na pia mnaweza imba ya Kihindi mkitaka.
What would I do without you, mama? Drawing me in, you kicking me out. You got my head spinning. No kidding, I can't pin you down. What's going on, that beautiful mind? I'm your magical mystery ride. And I'm so dizzy, don't know what hit me, but I'll be alright. My head's underwater, but I'm breathing fine. You're crazy and I'm out of my mind.
Let's join them. Cause
all of me loves all of you. All your curves and all your edges, all your perfect imperfections.
Asante sana.
Gonna be alright. Don't worry about the thing. Oh, every little thing, gonna be alright. Morning, inside, little birds, without my doorstep, singing this song. This is our message to you.
Sawa.
Jambo
Wale, come and play for me something here. Yes. Come. Ebu, mwachie nini? Mwachie keyboard, mimi niwachie guitar. For Dr. Wale.
The stars seem to fade as the moonlight lingers on. There's a wonder for everyone. Yeah, stars shine so bright, but they're fading after dawn, and there is magic in Kingston town.
This is the prize giving, and we are ready to give out. Now, I won't tell you who got what. I'll just start from number 3. All right? So, with 44 points out of 65, third runners up receives, they got 43 points. And please put your hands together for Shikamo. And Safaricom, someone for Safaricom, please. So can the whole team come and receive this, Shikamo? Come and receive this 10,000 shillings.
You tell me say no one waste time, you say them other girls have to stand in line, you tell me say they go watch how we slow wine, oh, you say you want to take control, yeah, you say you want to take control, the way she they do me, your bag back, control, see the way they roll it, your bag back, control.
The next team, ladies and gentlemen, with 44 points out of 65. And they are the second runners up, ladies and gentlemen. They get weekend for 2 at Sarova Whitesands Beach Resort and 10,000 Safaricom airtime. Please put your hands together for Prepare. Oh, And let me request Peter to please, see me, you'll give the next one up.
Gonna dance for you, boy. Gonna dance for you.
First runners up with 46 points out of a possible 65. And they get 2 nights accommodation at Sarova Taita Hills. All right, now, ladies and gentlemen, the winner today, and they got 48 points out of a possible 65. The captain gets a weekend for 2 at Sarova Salt Lake. And the team gets 30,000 worth of airtime, courtesy of Safaricom. Twaweza. Please put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen, for Poster. Esther, come and present this award.
No time. Betty on this. Me, I feel long time. Put it on replay for the wickedest one. Me, I feel nothing, long time. No time. One time, 2 times, time. One time. Baby, go down, no time. Go down now, no time. Bring it back now. Oh, I. Let me say I. Mash up the place, DJ, bring out the place.
Ni video, usisonge sana. Ni picha tafadhali.
Showstopper, me a big papa. Turn up in my very own chopper. Looking all around like, who is your father? That's me, big mama. Here's my drum, you can beat it up. Do you want the right one?
For and on behalf of all the sponsors today, I want to thank you for supporting this event and making it successful. Asante sana. To all the 18 teams which came out to take part, thank you so much. Our guest, Dr. Wale Akinyemi, thank you very much. Remember, you can still buy his book for 700 bob right now, online. And on Thursday, the training continues. You can make the bookings at the desk outside there. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. God bless you. The party continues somewhere else at your pleasure.